Our first movie tells the story of a man who tries to conduct a love affair under the slight handicap that he is completely invisible. The movie is named Memoirs of an Invisible Man and it stars Chevy Chase in the title role as a victim of an industrial accident. Shortly before he becomes invisible, Chase falls head over heels in love with a bright young filmmaker played by Daryl Hannah.
What are we doing?
I hope it's foreplay.
After he becomes invisible, Chase seeks out Hannah to help him figure out what to do next. In some of his invisible scenes, Chase is invisible to everyone, like in this scene where government spies chase him through a train. But in other scenes, he's visible to the audience, although not to anyone in the film.
Taxi! Can he take me to San Francisco?
Anyone who has ever seen the original 1933 Claude Rains classic, The Invisible Man, has probably asked certain basic biological questions, such as, even if the guy is invisible, why can't we see the food in his stomach? Well, Memoirs of an Invisible Man does deal with such issues, but somehow it doesn't have enough fun with him. This is another case of a movie getting bogged down in a silly plot about spies and chase scenes and not having the curiosity to really follow the gimmick of invisibility all the way through to see where it might lead. Chevy Chase and Daryl Hannah do the best they can, and they do have some funny moments, but the screenplay has a lot of room for imagination.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think they really tried with this picture. In fact, I didn't think there were very many funny moments at all. And another thing is, if he's invisible, why can't you always see his clothing? Sometimes his clothing, I think, he's totally invisible. They make lots of logical errors on that. They should have figured that out. And I think you're absolutely right. Why not do, I expect, especially if Chevy Chase is going to be in this picture, I figure, all right, he's going to really get into the psychology of what it's like to be invisible and dig deeper into that. Make it more of an internal story.
And that's not what happens.
No, it's just a stump plot.
The key to humor in a movie like this is to apply absolute rigid logic to an absurd situation. For example, how about the fillings in his teeth? How about his contact lenses? How about if he has dirt underneath his fingernails? What's invisible and what isn't? And you could have a lot of fun by really getting nitpicky about stuff like that.
Well, even Honey, I Shrunk the Kids did a better job of following the consequences of its characters in an improbable situation. This film really isn't much of an attempt at all.